Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2022 Virtual Conference of Basic Education Researchers. And to formally commence our activity, let us sing the Philippine National Anthem. It will be followed by a prayer, the latest version of Calabarzon March, and the recitation of the DepEd Quality Policy Statement.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, telas ng sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may di magtitindig. Lumalang araw ng walhaging pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya ng barkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Dito sa timog katagalugan, sumibo lang bagong pangalan. Ang kaunlaran kay bilis at masagana, lahat kami may pagkakaisa, sa mithiin ay sama-sama. Mabuhay ang Calabarzon, Calabarzon sa habang panahon. Lalawigang Rizal, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Quezon, at mga lungsod pa, Antipolo, San Pablo, Cavite, Lucena, Batangas, Calamba, Santa Rosa, Dasmariñas, Tayabas, Limos, Bacoor, Piña, Cabuyao, General Trias, San Pedro, Santo Tomas, Tanawan at Libang. Hey! Hey! Ang kawani ay tanging-tangi, maglingkod
And to give you the statement of purpose, here is the hardworking Chief Education Supervisor of the Policy Planning and Research Division, Madam Viernaline M. Nama.
Blessed morning to everyone. This is the most awaited event of all Calabarzon researchers, the Conference of Basic Education Researchers. This time, we are going to conduct this VCBER Fest virtually for this whole week, starting today until Friday, due to some issuances that teachers who are also our researchers to observe time on task. And out of 1,700 plus research abstracts submitted, 400 were chosen and evaluated to present in this conference. I would like also to congratulate all our Calabarzon researchers because just recently we received a national award during the 2022 National Planning Conference in Subic Bay International Convention Center, which is the Sustained Advocacy in Encouraging Interest in Basic Education Research Fund. This is our 5th time of receiving this award. This is the best time also to showcase and disseminate our research findings for policy recommendations and help in decision-making. The purpose of the 2022 VCBER is to network with other education researchers to tackle various issues, challenges, and trends affecting the basic education. Also, to identify or to intensify collaboration and expand partnership to pursue education for sustainable development. And finally, to share practices and innovations towards transformative education across borders. Next year, we will again call for submission of our research papers with different themes that are adaptive to the next normal and with futures thinking initiatives like competing priorities, limited resources, and a complex changing environment. Governments are searching for new planning tools to meet multiple economic, political, social, and environmental, and also climate change challenges. We hope that you will enjoy our presentations and learn from these research studies. God bless everyone.
DepEd Calabarzon is truly a region where excellence is a culture and quality is a commitment. Pinapatunayan lamang po natin yan by strengthening the culture of research in our region led by our top management. And now, here is the inspirational message from our dynamic regional director, Attorney Alberto T. Escobarte, CESO 2.
Good morning. At the outset, let me commend and recognize the team of Chief VCBER Nama of the Policy Planning and Research Division of DepEd Region 4A Calabarzon. Candidly, I am delighted and honored to join you in this virtual space as you hold this conference of basic education researchers. DepEd Calabarzon fully supports activities that continuously promote and strengthen research results and evidence-based decision-making and explore ways to improve the delivery of relevant and responsive basic education services to generations of Filipino learners. As educators, we have this inviolable duty of supporting and molding the minds of our learners amidst diversity. It is said that recognizing a problem is halfway toward its solution, and that is where the usefulness and importance of research comes to mind. Through your activity, a heightened sense of awareness about research shall be enlivened and created. Research has become an important tool in building a strong sense of community and platform for the minds and hands to mold, weave, and recommend practical solutions to recurring challenges and problems in our offices and schools. Transformation and progress cannot happen in the stagnant pool of conventional thinking or the business as usual or status quo mindsets. The challenge later on is how to make sense of this data or information generated by the researchers. Let us flood or inundate our offices and schools with many research outputs so that we may find viable and practical solutions to all these perennial and recurring problems that we have encountered in our respective offices and schools. Mabuhay ang DepEd Calabarzon. Good morning. At the outset, let me commend and recognize the team of Chief VCBER NAMA of the Policy Planning and Research Division of DepEd Region 4A Calabarzon. Candidly, I am delighted and honored to join you in this virtual space as you hold this conference of basic education researchers. DepEd Calabarzon fully supports activities that continuously promote and strengthen research results and evidence-based decision-making and explore ways to improve the delivery of relevant and responsive basic education services to generations of Filipino learners. As educators, we have this inviolable duty of supporting and molding the minds of our learners amidst diversity. It is said that recognizing a problem is halfway toward its solution, and that is where the usefulness and importance of research comes to mind. Through your activity, a heightened sense of awareness about research shall be enlivened and created. Research has become an important tool in building a strong sense of community and platform for the minds and hands to mold, weave, and recommend practical solutions to recurring challenges and problems in our offices and schools. Transformation and progress cannot happen in the stagnant pool of conventional thinking or the business as usual or status quo mindsets. The challenge later on is how to make sense of this data or information generated by the researchers. Let us flood or inundate our offices and schools with many research outputs so that we may find viable and practical solutions to all these perennial and recurring problems that we have encountered in our respective offices and schools. Mabuhay ang DepEd Calabarzon.
And to give you the statement of purpose, here is the hardworking Chief Education Supervisor of the Policy Planning and Research Division, Madam Viernaline M. Nama.
Blessed morning to everyone. This is the most awaited event of all Calabarzon researchers, the Conference of Basic Education Researchers. This time, we are going to conduct this VCBER Fest virtually for this whole week, starting today until Friday, due to some issuances that teachers who are also our researchers to observe time on task. And out of 1,700 plus research abstracts submitted, 400 were chosen and evaluated to present in this conference. I would like also to congratulate all our Calabarzon researchers because just recently we received a national award during the 2022 National Planning Conference in Subic Bay International Convention Center, which is the sustained advocacy in encouraging interest in basic education research fund. This is our 5th time of receiving this award. This is the best time also to showcase and disseminate our research findings for policy recommendations and help in decision-making. The purpose of the 2022 VCBER is to network with other education researchers to tackle various issues, challenges, and trends affecting the basic education. Also, to identify or to intensify collaboration and expand partnership to pursue education for sustainable development. And finally, to share practices and innovations towards transformative education across borders. Next year, we will again call for submission of our research papers with different themes that are adaptive to the next normal and with futures thinking initiatives like competing priorities, limited resources, and a complex changing environment. Governments are searching for new planning tools to meet multiple economic, political, social, and environmental, and also climate change challenges. We hope that you will enjoy our presentations and learn from these research studies. God bless everyone.
And now, friends, for the welcome remarks, narito po ang nagmamahal at umaaruga sa atin 24/7, our dear Assistant Regional Director, Madam Cherilu Teacher Che Repia.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to our 2022 virtual conference of basic education researchers. I'm pretty sure that you had sleepless nights preparing for your presentations for this conference. And of course, this is also our testimony, how much active and aggressive we are in conducting basic education research studies from schools to the different offices. And actually, I'm sure kinilig kayo dito, in the last National Planning Conference, Calabarzon was awarded as one of the most active regions in basic education research. At syempre, lahat tayo may parte dito. Each one of you, every SDO or Schools Division Office, every researcher that we have in our region have contributed to the fulfillment of the dream to make research as a culture in our region. At tunay naman, yung pangarap na yon ay patuloy na nangyayari dito sa ating rehiyon. Kaya naman, alam nating lahat, kung kaalaman din lamang ang pag-uusapan, definitely, we are producers of knowledge. What we really have to do is keep utilizing all this knowledge for the better of our learners. Since we are in the mode of learning recovery, my challenge to every one of you, especially to our leaders in the different schools division offices and schools and other offices as well, to ensure that all our findings are fully utilized to address the learning gaps and to realize learning recovery in all classrooms and in all schools. Pagtulong-tulungan natin itong mabuo ang lahat ng ating mga pangarap para sa mga bata. Pagtulong-tulungan nating magamit ang lahat ng mga kaalaman na nabuo mula sa ating pananaliksik. Gamitin natin sila, ang mga ito, para sa ikabubuti ng mga bata. At magagawa lang natin to kung sama-sama natin itong gagawin. Kaya sa mga kapwa ko researchers, ito yung panahon ng pagkakaisa, panahon ng tamang motivasyon sa pananaliksik. Tandaan nyo yan, ha? We should have the purest intention when we do research. It is to help other people, it is to help our learners, and to make it sure that this world would be a better place. Kaya gawin natin ito at itong ating virtual conference maging, kahit to virtual, maging napaka-engaging. Kaya kung hindi man kayo maka-join during the real-time na live streaming, you can join after class, mga kaguro ko. At kahit yan rewind na, sabi nga, mananatiling real-time ang inyong mga reaksyon. Kaya mag-react tayo, ha? At syempre, mag-comment naman tayo, mag-share tayo ng mga insights natin sa mga presentations. Palakpakan din naman natin yung mga presenters. Palakasin natin yung loob nila. At let's appreciate what they have done sa mga research studies na ginawa nila, di ba? Kasi isang pamilya tayo sa Calabarzon at isang pamilya tayo ng mga mananaliksik ng Calabarzon. At naniniwala tayo na kung patuloy nating susuportahan ang bawat isa, sigurado, mas magiging maayos ang pagkatuto ng mga bata sa bawat classroom. Naalala ko ang sabi ng isang napakahusay na planner and strategist, no? Sabi niya, for every problem that you encounter, whether it's in the work or in the personal life, you have to find metaphor. At yung metaphor na yon, yun yung, paano mo siya i-compare in a metaphor? Di ba tinuturo yan ng English teacher natin, no? Yung metaphor. Ako ngayon, yung learning recovery mode natin ngayon, yung addressing the learning gaps. Alam niyo, ang metaphor ko dito, yung ICU, di ba? Intensive care unit. Na everything is urgent, everything is critical. And every move that we make for this person under ICU ay may malaking impact sa kanya. Kaya kung naka-ICU ngayon ang ating mga classrooms at ang mga bata, karamihan ng mga bata natin dahil sa matinding learning gaps, panahon na para mas maging agresibo tayo, mas maging focus tayo, mindful tayo sa lahat ng ginagawa natin. Kasi kahit konting kibot ng DepEd ngayon, may malaki itong impact sa mga bata. Tayong mga guro, para lang sa kanila. Kaya hiningi ko tong aking backdrop na to sa office ko to lahat ng ginagawa natin, lahat ng desisyon na kailangan nating buuin, lahat ng aksyon na kailangan nating implement, ito ay para sa kanila. Ito ay dahil sa kanila. Kaya mga kasama, arat na, sabi nga, let's go and share what we have learned, share what we have felt during the actual conduct of the research studies, and share our dreams for every child in the classroom. Because as researchers, we are here for the children, for the country, of course, our beloved Philippines, and for the Lord. Salamat sa inyong lahat at syempre, sa ngalan ng ating butihing Regional Director, who always believe in #HappyDuty. Maging happy researchers tayo dahil yon ang kailangan ng mga bata. Salamat po sa inyong lahat at isang puso mula sa akin, Teacher Che, at para sa inyo, mga kapwa ko researcher, kapwa ko guro at kawani ng Department of Education sa Rehiyong Calabarzon. Salamat po sa inyong lahat at God bless everyone.
Good day everyone, I'm Albert C. Aringo, together with Ezra Pamilara and Arnel Espina of Mambuga National High School. Today, we're going to present our research regarding effectiveness of the DIY performance task booklet in grade 10 theory subject for modular distance learning modality.
For the introduction, during the pandemic, the education system in the Philippines is one of the many greatly affected aspects. Republic Act 10533, Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, and Act enhancing the Philippine education system by strengthening curriculum and increasing the number of years of basic education, were present several approaches to utilize: constructive, collaborative, integration, reflective, and inquiry-based approach. With this, the transition to the different modalities of the learning areas was introduced and embraced to cater the need for the delivery of instruction, despite the situation. Based on the performance task assessment of grade 10 students during the first quarter of school year 2021 to 2022, 580 or 59.12% did not meet expectations, while for the second quarter, there are 481 or 49.28% did not meet expectations. This result became a basis to aim for an increase in the performance of the students. With this, the DIY performance task booklet for grade 10 daily subject was utilized during the third quarter of the school year 2021 to 2022 to determine its effectiveness in increasing the performance of the students in DLE 10.
So the respondent of the study were the 976 grade 10 students of Mambuga National High School who are enrolled in modular learning delivery modality during the school year 2021-2022. The researchers used a survey questionnaire to identify the perception of the students toward the DIY performance task booklet during the third quarter. The Learner's Outcome Assessment, or LOA, was used as a basis for determining the performance task assessment of learners from the first quarter to the third quarter. The DIY performance task booklet was constructed by the grade 10 PLE teachers and underwent a pace and content validation. After that, the researchers seek permission from the school head to conduct the study to use the DIY performance task booklet as learning materials during the third quarter of the school year 2021-2022. The researchers constructed a questionnaire to assess the perception of grade 10 students towards the DIY performance task booklet. Table 1, the perception of grade 10 students in the DIY performance task booklet in terms of content. So it can be said that the students agree that the DIY performance task booklet helps them to easily understand the objectives, instructions, and ideas or concept in each task. The table 2 shows the perception of grade 10 student in the DIY performance task booklet in terms of layout. So it can be observed that the student agreed that the layout of DIY performance task booklet is arranged in a logical and sequential order. The font size and the font style of the instructional materials were readable. Instruction in the instructional materials were well emphasized. Illustrations and figures used in the were well defined. Diagrams and illustration were well presented and easy to understand. In Table 3, the performance task assessment of grade 10 student before and after that using the DIY performance task booklet. So the DIY performance task booklet did help to lessen the number of students who did not meet the expectation and thus suggested as a pattern for developing the other DIY performance tasks in other grading periods. Table 4 shows the significant difference in the result of performance task assessment before and after using the DIY performance task booklet. So the table implies that there is a significant difference in the result of performance task assessment before and after the use of DIY performance task booklet.
The researchers concluded, develop DIY performance task booklet as the learning material in grade 10 PLE guides the students to understand the objective and content of the lesson. Layout organization of the booklet help the students to easily follow the instruction and procedures on each task. Identify that the learning material lessens the number of students who did not meet the expectation in terms of performance task assessment, thus improving the result of the performance task assessment of the students at PLE 10. For the recommendation, DIY performance task booklet should be utilized to increase the students' performance task in PLE. Consider localization where materials are readily
Pleasant morning to everyone. CI Project Leapers model, or learners' academic performance in science through modular delivery of learning. Proponents, Arlene A. Matawaran, yours truly, Maricel L. Gabilagin, Elvin Rodriguez of Bago 92 National High School. For the overview, Bago 92 National High School has been adopting MDL modality for 2 years, and there are issues and problems that should be addressed in terms of teaching and learning.
And for the research questions,
First, what is the level of performance of grade 7 in science based on the first quarter test result? Second, what is the level of performance of grade 7 in the fourth quarter using video lessons? Third, how does the level of performance of the grade 7 students in science differ between first and fourth quarter test results? And lastly, what action plan proposed to Project Leapers to the identified grade level with the lowest MPS? For the methodology, it is quantitative research in nature that uses descriptive analysis such as mean and frequency. It also uses non-randomized sampling method. In terms of participants, among the 34 sections in grade 7, 6 sections with the lowest MPS were considered as the focus of the study, equivalent to 267 students, which is 70% of 1,568 total population of grade 7.
This study used one group pre-test and post-test design. It involves 3 steps as follows. First, administers pre-test. Second, apply the experimental treatment, which is using the contextualized videos. And third, administers post-test. The result shows that during the first quarter, 36.33% of students were not proficient, and 46.07% were considered low proficient. It is understood that these 267 students of grade 7 have difficulty in understanding the lesson in modular distance learning. Therefore, based on the data, that they need to have a supplementary tool on their lesson during MBL. This table shows that during fourth quarter, 13.48% of students were not proficient, and 20.97% were low proficient. After the use of video lessons as a supplementary tool, the total percentage of not and low proficient students decreases into 34.46% from 82.40%. Therefore, the researchers concluded that the TMBLS have been effective to the grade 7 students during MBL. The table shows the difference between the first and the fourth quarter performance of grade 7 students. 62.88% decreased not proficient, 54% decreased low, 62.5 nearly, and from 0 to 17 students classified as highly proficient.
The action plan will focus on the implementations of the use of contextualized video lesson as supplementary tool for intervention program and integrations of the learning competencies for regular classes and distance learning if necessary. The program will start on second quarter of school year 2022-2023 and monitoring and evaluations will be conducted. For the conclusion, it is understood that these 267 students of grade 7 have difficulty in understanding the lesson in MDL. Based on the result, the researchers conclude that the video lessons that were made by the teacher have been effective for grade 7 students during the MDL class. For our recommendation, as the contextualized video lessons proved to be effective in enhancing the academic performance of the student, the researcher recommended that the crafting of video lesson must be continued and to be completed from first to third quarter.
These are the references of this study. Thank you so much for listening. God bless and mabuhay.
Good morning to all. I am Dr. Francis A. Gumawa from Knights of Columbus Elementary School, City Schools Division of Antipolo. This is my research title, Educational Paradigm Analysis on School-Based Management System of Public Schools, Input for Decision-Making Model. For my introduction, school is a social institution that plays a crucial role in the lives of our society. Being important person in school, principals serve as administrators, managers, and leaders. For the legal basis, we have the DepEd Order number 83, series of 2012, to further strengthen the school-based management system, practice and re-emphasize the centrality of the learners and involvement of relevant community basic education service delivery. And for the literature review, we have Miranda 2011, Castillo 2012, Bandola 2012, and according to Antinero 2015, the curriculum must be up-to-date and appropriate to prepare learners for further occupation. For the research question, the primary objective of the study was to assess the level of analysis of educational paradigm on school-based management system. For the question number 1, what is the level of analysis of educational paradigm on school-based management system with leadership and governance, curriculum and instruction, management of resources, accountability, and continuous improvement? For question number 2, what is the result of school-based management assessment in terms of access, quality, and efficiency? Question number 3, is there significant difference on the assessment on the analysis of educational paradigm on school-based management system of selected public elementary school with respect to above-mentioned variables? Number 4, how do the result of assessment on the school-based management differ on the analysis of educational paradigm with respect to above-mentioned variables? Problem number 5, what are the issues, problem, and gaps? Number 6, what decision model can be made? For the research methodology, participant of the study was 280 teachers, and the researcher used descriptive method research design. The tool was validated by the experts in the field of research. Random sampling was used in choosing the teachers in the 14 selected public elementary schools. And this is the participants of the study. And data collection, the researcher gathered the data through Google form. And we use the scale, range, verbal interpretation, and interval scores and analysis on data analysis. And we also use the t-test, person R, frequency, and percentage distribution. For the problem number 1, as you can see, in leadership and governance, we have 3.58, very good. Problem number accountability and continuous improvement, 4.25, very good. Then, management of resources, 3.56, very good. And then for the total average, we have 3.88, very good. Problem number 2, the total average is 2.17, which is better. Problem number 3, as you can see, significant is only accountability and continuous improvement. Problem number 4, among the criteria, it was not significant. Problem number 5, we have lack of resources like materials and human resources got the highest frequency. And this is the decision model as an output of the research. We have the productivity on school performance. For the conclusion, accountability and continuous improvement is a contributory to the educational paradigm on school-based management in terms of level up or increase the performance of the school. For the recommendation, we have school must continue to guide the school planning team. School must continue to strive the best level of practice in SBM. The DepEd must create a program or project that will support increasing the budget. And school must upgrade in terms of leadership and management. And this is the references. And thank you and good morning.
The academic year 2020 to 2021 will be remembered as educationally challenging due to immense modification in the Philippine educational system due to COVID-19 pandemic.
As such, there were different challenges and difficulties encountered by the online junior high school teachers in adopting different learning modalities, specifically in the online distance learning or ODL. With these challenges, teachers from Antipolo National High School decided to conduct a research that is relevant to the current situation entitled
Challenges and experiences encountered in online distance modality of online junior high school teachers in District 1A and District 2C in the City Schools Division Office of Antipolo.
I am Francis Mark A. Elbo.
I'm Karen A. Garcia. And I am John Bernadette M. Vicente.
Researchers from the Division of Antipolo City.
As stipulated by DepEd Order No. 12 Series of 2020, the Department of Education remains steadfast in its commitment that education must continue while safeguarding the overall safety and welfare of teachers.
In the City Schools Division Office of Antipolo, there were 2 junior high schools from District 1A and District 2C that cater online distance learning modality, Antipolo National High School and the League National High School, respectively.
The researchers aim to determine the challenges and experiences encountered by selected online teachers in District 1A and District 2C in the City Schools Division Office of Antipolo. Specifically, this study sought to answer the following question. Number 1, what is the profile of the respondents? Number 2, what are the challenges encountered by online teachers? Lastly, based on the result of the study, what technical assistance plan can be proposed?
The researchers purposely selected 12 online teachers in Antipolo National High School and 12 online teachers in the League National High School as respondents of this study. The same number was considered to ensure equal number of respondents. The researcher utilized descriptive and qualitative method of research.
The researchers created an online survey form used in this study via Google Forms. The instrument used was created by the researcher and validated by the master teacher to ensure that the content of the analysis is appropriate.
In terms of asynchronous classes, majority of the online teachers spent more than 5 hours for asynchronous classes with 37.50%.
Online teachers are occasionally experiencing slow internet connection during online classes with 36.59%. The internet provides great opportunities to improve the quality of education.
With this, we conclude that number 1, technical assistance plan should be crafted to address the needs of the online teachers. We also conclude that online teachers, with the help of the school, should provide alternatives when they are experiencing slow internet connection.
3. Learning activities should be given ahead of time to absorb and understand the activity. 4. Online teachers are highly encouraged to attend LAC session, webinars, and training focusing on the importance of learning management system such as Schoology, Moodle, Canvas, Edmodo, and ClassPoint.
5. Sharing of best practices among online teachers, highlighting, assessing, and checking of outputs, and balancing work time management at home through focus group discussion or FGD should be done quarterly. 6. As it embodies education for all, online distance learning modality should be continuous practice in the post-pandemic setting.
Looking back on our conclusion, we propose the following to be possible innovative solution to help solve the problem. Number 1, training matrix in enhancing TPAC.
Number 2, propose school and other stakeholders support enhancement.
Based on the conclusions, innovation, interventions, and strategies provided, the researchers recommended to craft a proposed technical assistance plan
with the combination of effective communication,
equip-related online trainings.
Online teaching can pose effective and engaging learning opportunity
for both teachers and learners.
Good day everyone, this is Jerome C. Hilario, a master teacher from Mayamot National High School, and let me present to you my research study entitled From In-Print to On-Screen, Online Reading Comprehension Skills of Adolescent Learners. There's a need for understanding, assessing, and teaching the skills required to read and learn on the internet, which has become particularly important as students seem to be rather unskilled with reading to learn online information. Teachers and other stakeholders must begin to recognize the internet as a reading comprehension issue, not simply as a technology issue. Because failing to recognize the internet as an issue of reading comprehension might lead to some serious problems. Some serious problems concerning the internet as a reading comprehension issue include one's belief in fake news and the spread of misinformation. As access to the internet and digital media grows exponentially, especially during the pandemic education, learners read more and consume information from online websites and social media platforms. And with the current teaching setup, where most learning materials are from and teaching modalities are through online. To provide teachers with a deeper understanding of the nature of online reading, this study determines and describes the reading comprehension strategies of senior high school readers employed in the reading online texts and differentiates skilled readers from less skilled readers in terms of the use of online reading comprehension strategies. It is hoped that knowing and understanding how students read online reading materials, particularly the reading comprehension skills involved, will help craft in planning relevant, engaging, meaningful literacy instruction in helping learners become responsible consumers of online reading materials. This study, which employed the qualitative design, made use of phenomenology in approaching the strategies employed by skilled and less skilled readers when reading online. The participants were four students consisting of two students identified as skilled readers and two students identified as less skilled readers. Data were collected using an unstructured interview and observation to determine the reading comprehension skills employed by the students. The gathered data from the transcribed individual interviews and observation notes were interpreted and analyzed using coding and thematic analysis. Themes and patterns were identified, categorized, and coded. The results involved is first, online reading skills used by learners in reading an online text. So these are the different online reading skills used by the students. In terms of the strategies, here are the strategies used and applied by the senior high school based on the events of the reading journey before, during, and after the act of reading. Skilled and less skilled readers may be different in how they apply their skills and use strategies when reading, but similarly, they also have gained additional skills and strategies which may be helpful whenever they read online texts. And finally, for the results, digital natives, as we call them, the respondents are considered consumers of information on the internet, which made them the masters of their learning since access to online texts is within their reach of their fingers through their screens. Skillful readers offline are not always proficient online, since online reading comprehension is a problem solving process with text. Its process revolves around these five steps: identification of a problem, reaching for information to solve a problem, in evaluation of the information, synthesis, and reporting. Learners try to verify first what they are reading so that they do not waste time reading online articles they should not be reading at all. Their experience in reading the text online is different, for they use additional skills and strategies apart from those involved in the reading comprehension. For the conclusion, learners agreed that online reading is somewhat similar to skills they used in printed texts, making it interesting and engaging. Learners' online reading experience allowed them to use strategies only applicable to reading online with their exposure to screens and internet. And learners were more confident reading online with comprehension, for they could easily access vocabulary meanings and modify and enrich their background knowledge of the topics. Finally, implications. First, thoughtfully guide students learning through within information environments that are richer and more complex than traditional print media. Teachers may begin integrating online experiences and new literacy instruction as soon as children begin their literacy education program. Teachers may explicitly include the promotion and development of online reading comprehension skills as competencies at the senior high school level, and the school may craft and plan relevant, engaging, and meaningful literacy instruction and programs to help learners become responsible consumers of online reading materials.
Hello everyone! Our research is entitled Effectiveness of Project Save Lardos in Reducing the Dropout Rate in Select Public Schools in the Division of Antipolo City. The proponents of this research are Dr. Isabel M. Gonzalez, Senior Education Program Specialist, SMME Section, Myra B. Villarreal, Planning Officer 3, PR Section, and yours truly, Dr. Jonathan P. Domingo, SGOD Chief. Our research is based on Article 14, Section 1 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution and Republic Act 9155, also known as Governance of Basic Education Act. The DEDP identifies dropout rate as one of the KPIs that requires attention. Due to this, Project Save Lardos was launched by the SGOD. Our research is supported by the studies by Manalo and Dahl and others on how interventions in schools have reduced the dropout rate. Mixed method was used in this study. Questionnaire checklists and survey questionnaires were given to 37 school heads and LIS coordinators to determine the level of implementation of Project Save Lardos and the common reasons of learners for dropping out for school year 2021-2022. And here are the findings of our study. The majority of the public schools in the division of Antipolo City are consistently superior and significantly exceed minimum requirements in implementing Project Save Lardos with respect to organizational, community, program, and facilitators' characteristics as perceived by the school heads and LIS coordinators. In addition, the majority of school heads and LIS coordinators have different opinions about the extent to which Project Save Lardos is being implemented in terms of organizational and facilitator characteristics. On the other hand, most school heads and LIS coordinators have the same opinion on the Project Save Lardos level of implementation with regard to community and program characteristics. The study also shows that there was a decrease of 1.28% in the dropout rate in the select public elementary schools, and a decrease of 2.13% in dropout rate in secondary schools after the implementation of Project Save Lardos in the division of Antipolo City in school year 2021-2022. Furthermore, the study reveals that attitude, condition at home, device or supplies, and health are the common reasons of learners for dropping out of school. With this, an enhanced division action plan was crafted to further improve the implementation of Project Save Lardos among the public schools in the division of Antipolo City. Based on the findings of the study, the following conclusions were drawn. Based on the findings and conclusions of the study, the following are hereby recommended. The Division Office should conduct intensive and recurring monitoring and evaluation through the SGOD, School Management Monitoring and Evaluation, to identify and address implementation issues relating to organizational and facilitator characteristics. There should be coordination with the CID, especially with the PSTS. They should be given access to Project Save Lardos monthly results and be involved in the Kumustahan meetings in order to help schools address the dropout problem by offering them advice and support. Best practices of the schools in reducing their dropout rate should be showcased and benchmarked by the other schools. Schools with successful programs and projects in addressing the issue of dropout should be recognized by the Division Office through GAWAD SGOD. The suggested enhanced implementation plan is strongly advised to further improve the implementation of Project Save Lardos among public schools in the division of Antipolo City. Parallel or similar research could be done to confirm the findings of the study. Here are our references. Thank you.
This is the action research entitled Development and Acceptability of the Scribbles, the Digital Literary Folio of Old Buso National High School, authored by Cristina Kesha P. Petoran, Rhea R. Rojas, and Marlo C. Pere. Since the school has not yet published any school paper before, the proponents of the Scribbles started with the development of the digital literary folio with the goal to expand this to a complete school paper in the future. This project covered trainings of students and teachers in literary works, showcasing of their talents in writing, poems, short stories, and essays, training students in arts and design, and releasing of a quarterly digital literary folio called The Scribbles through online page which was followed and subscribed by both teachers and students. This study aimed to determine the level of acceptability and of the developed DLF between 25 teachers and 25 experts, which includes school paper advisors, writers, ICT coordinators, and master teachers in the division of Antipolo City. This study is based on the hamon Bawat Bata Bumabasa and Section 2 of RA 7079, which is an act providing for the development and promotion of campus journalism and for other purposes. To address the needs of OBNHS to promote literary and the arts and to have avenues to express ideas, the Scribbles started with the help of committed teachers and students. First, trainings for the student and teachers through webinars were conducted, and then submission of the literary works and illustrations, and then it will be checked for possible plagiarism and proofread, and then after that, it will be designed and laid out. And then the final draft and revision of the developed literary folio will be transported into PDF format. And then the output will be converted to online flipbook and it will be posted on the school's page. And then lastly, it will be tested for acceptability of the DLF. This is the conceptual framework on testing the acceptability of the digital literary folio. These are the questions that we sought to answer in our research. For question number 1, what is the level of acceptability of the digital literary folio between the teachers and the experts in terms of content and objectives, intellectual property, presentation and design, and language? The above table showed the mean scores of the responses of teachers and experts. Since the total of mean in both group of respondents for content and objectives is 3.71, 3.60 in intellectual property rights compliance, 3.71 in presentation and design, and 3.66 in language, it was interpreted as highly accepted. Question number 2, is there a significant difference in the level of acceptability of the digital literary folio between the teachers and experts in terms of content and objectives, intellectual property, presentation and design, and language? The table showed that using the independent t-test to determine the significant difference between the assessment of teachers and experts on the acceptability of the digital literary folio, it is found out that the p-value for content and objective was 0.514 in intellectual property, 0.327 in design and presentation, 0.839, and in language, 0.748, which were greater than 0.05 level of significance. Therefore, it is concluded that we failed to reject the null hypothesis. Question number 3, what is the proposed output based on the result of the study? And with all the result, it is proposed to convert the digital literary folio in printed form since there will be the implementation of face-to-face classes for the next school year 2022-2023. It is also proposed to strengthen training through face-to-face seminars for writers and illustrators to enhance their skills relative to literary works. Furthermore, it is proposed to the administration of Old Busabuson National High School to have a tangible project relative to school paper since the digital literary folio showcased the talent and skills of students and teachers in relation to literary works. These are the trainings conducted by the Scribbles for our writers and illustrators. Members of the Scribbles. Here are the sample flipbooks of the Scribbles.
This study is anchored to RA 11313 or Safe Spaces Act, or an act defining gender-based sexual harassment in streets, public spaces, online, workplaces, and educational or training institutions, providing protective measures and prescribing penalties. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is composed of 5 stages model where safety needs is under the basic needs such as security and safety. This development and evaluation of video campaign ad for Safe Spaces Act awareness aims to This study evaluated the video campaign ad using the following criteria: content quality, instructional quality, and technical quality. Research simulacrum. Descriptive method was used. Weighted mean difference, and t-test were utilized. Adapted learning resource non-print evaluation tool was used. 15 junior high school and senior high school teachers and 15 expert respondents such as master teachers, head teachers, ICT coordinators, LR coordinators, Araling Panlipunan chairperson, and Araling Panlipunan teachers of De La Paz National High School for the school year 2021 and 2022. Results. Comments from the respondents. Suggestions for enhancement. Conclusions from the result of the study. Following are the recommendations based on the result of the study. The fact that the 80th Day campaign to end violence against women and children is only recently being advocated and implemented in schools, the evaluators perceived that the material will be a big help in giving awareness to students, parents, teaching and non-teaching personnel about Safe Spaces Act. The school administrators, BAUSI coordinator, and GAD coordinator will not have difficulty in orienting and implementing Safe Spaces Act since the material can be utilized once validated.
A pleasant morning to our core research advocates and most especially to our panelists.
I am Carla Roxanne M. Lagman.
I am Imelda P. Santa Cruz.
And I am Michael Albordeos. Our research title is Students in the New Normal, Their Experiences in the Pandemic's Limited Face-to-Face Classes. And we are from the Bagong Nayon 2 National High School, SDO, Antipolo City.
Since the start of the pandemic, the DepEd created the BELCP to ensure learning continuity and minimize learning loss. For the past 2 years of the implementation of the modular distance learning, there are a lot of difficulties encountered by the students as supported by the studies of previous researchers as seen in the slide, such as challenging lessons and activities, distractions in learning, difficulty understanding instruction, a lack of support from others, poor module quality, and a lack of time management. Due to these difficulties, DepEd issued DepEd Order Number 17/2022 entitled Guidelines on the Progressive Expansion of Face-to-Face Classes, and Bagong 92 National High School implemented the limited face-to-face classes adhering to the guidelines based on the school safety assessment tool. Therefore, this research aims to explore students' experiences during this pivotal transition. Hence, the study aimed to answer the following questions. Number one, what prompted them to continue and attend limited face-to-face classes during this period? Two, what learning challenges have they faced due to COVID-19 threatening their lives? This slide shows the relevant body of research on study motivation and how to address the possibility of pandemics while implementing learning modalities in the new normal.
Our research study uses Searlean descriptive phenomenology, which was developed by Edmund Husserl. It is to identify the essence of essential structure of any phenomena under study. On the other hand, the researchers used purposive sampling to choose participants for their study, Special and Carpenter. A sample size of 20 participants were chosen for the study, allowing for the creation of detailed accounts of the phenomena, Special and Carpenter. Face-to-face, semi-structured interviews serves as an instrument of the study. Each interview lasted between 30 and 45 minutes, and the researchers conducted each while adhering to a process meeting the minimum health standard protocols. Finally, the researchers used Collasy's 7 steps of data analysis to examine it.
Allow me to present to you the findings of our research based on the questions mentioned earlier. It is divided into two sections. The first slide are the qualitative responses of the learning challenges during the pandemic's limited face-to-face classes. The different themes emerge as follows. First, lack of instructional time, followed by lack of collaboration, difficulty understanding the lessons and activities, and finally, adjustment period. This slide presents the responses about the motivation for learning during the pandemic's limited face-to-face classes. According to the analysis of the participants' experiences, there are two types of motivation: the motivation to learn and the motivation to create fulfillment and appreciation. Students' completion of their studies for the future and the steadfast commitment to learning will be incorporated into the motivation to learn. In the meantime, the urge to create fulfillment and appreciation is associated with a theme of realizing their life's dreams and appreciating learning despite challenges. Despite the difficulties students encountered in attending the limited face-to-face classes during the COVID-19 pandemic, it is essential to consider the motivation to keep studying supported by self-determination theory. Teachers' pivotal role during this pandemic is a significant source of social support for maintaining students' academic motivation. Therefore, motivation, engagement, and interest at this point is essential, along with the necessity of establishing their connection to the institution.
This study only examines the viewpoints of 20 participants, which does not adequately represent the nation's overall student body. In this regard, expanding the study of challenges and motivation is recommended to include teachers who instruct in limited face-to-face classes in the pandemic's later years. It is also recommended to provide the contextual basis for strategic actions amid and beyond the pandemic. To ensure teaching and learning continuity in the new normal of education, the researchers recommend that primary education institutions strengthen the limited face-to-face classes, modify the curriculum, empower the faculty, upgrade the infrastructure, implement a strategic plan, and assess all aspects of the plan. In generalization, despite the challenges brought on by the pandemic, students are still motivated and driven to enhance their academic performance.
Good morning. I am Sir Paul Genci L. Ocampo from the Division of Antipolo City, presenting the research entitled Making the New Normal an Ordinary One, Idea Approach Learning Modules in Inquiries, Investigations, and Immersion for Different Learning Modalities. It was on the year 2020 when the whole world was surged by COVID-19 pandemic. The Philippines did not escape this outbreak, causing left and right lockdown across the country. Because of this, classroom filled by laughters of the students, silence like deafness. Classroom filled by the students excited to learn becomes an no one around it. With this pandemic problem, learning must continue even at home with the aid of internet, modules, and other learning materials, which will replace face-to-face teaching for a while changing the learning modality and prescribed teaching approach by Region 4A Calabarzon, which is patented on introduction, development, engagement, and assimilation or idea approach. There were no available learning materials during the start of school year 2020 to 2021 for pure modular and online distance learning. Considering the socioeconomic status of learners as revealed by the learning modalities to be implemented in the division of Antipolo City, the learning materials must therefore be accessible to all learners in different learning modalities. That's why the researchers have developed the approach for and interactive ebook in idea approach for online distance learning. Here is the right? So this was made using the application in the laptop, and it was distributed online distance learning to students. So this was based on the idea approach using videos. We have the introduction for the videos and discussion, and then different activities.
Authors class. Tandaan nyo, pagka 3 or more authors, ito kasi saktong 3 to, no? Pagka
there are different activities for the development. There are activities to be selected, the answers. Yan. Then there are activities in which you're going to draw lines to arrive at a particular answer. Then there were activities just like this one. Is a puzzle. So this is the part of the interactive video I have presented a while This one is interactive using the photo video.
A pleasant day to everyone. Allow us to present our research entitled Tracing the Status and Directions of Action Research at Antipolo National High School. Inputs for creating a culture of research in District 1A by Romel S. Beltran and Christian Ross P. Pimentel of Antipolo National High School. Antipolo NHS is composed of more than 12,500 students and more than 400 teaching and non-teaching personnel. Hence, the number of its students and personnel suggests the quantity of potential problems, issues, and concerns that confront the school stakeholders every school year. These problems even multiplied due to pandemic. If action research has the potential to yield positive impact in educational practice, the school has to have an organized system to manage and proliferate the action research outputs of its teachers. What happens after the action research completion is one of the significant concerns. There is a need to trace the implementation, dissemination, presentation, and publication of research outputs to determine if these studies address the problems they pose and consider follow-up actions. This research proposed an innovation of a research management system that will map out the action research activities and outputs of researchers in District 1A and provide strategies in promoting a culture of research in schools and district through focus group discussions, technical assistance, learning action cells, infusion to in-service trainings, research conferences, and publication. In the process of conducting this action research, we were able to establish our research unit, produced publications, and started a school-based journal which we call The Stage, spearheaded a research conference which we called Hiraya in 2021 and 2022 District 1A Online Research Conference, conducted learning action cells in Antipolo NHS and Santa Cruz ES, and many more to promote a culture of research. For this research, we asked the following questions. What are the significant profiles of teachers on conducting research? What is the status of training on research among teachers? What is the motivation of teachers in conducting research for SY 2020 to 2021? What challenges do researchers encounter in conducting research? What are the best practices of research completers? What are the research outputs of Antipolo National High School researchers? And what are the research outputs of Antipolo NHS researchers? Data were collected during SY 2020-2021 from 4 survey questionnaires, reports, transcript from focus group discussions, and division memoranda in District 1A were analyzed using descriptive statistics and graphs, while quantitative data were analyzed through thematic analysis. Results show that the significant profiles of teachers on conducting research include teachers' knowledge on research, number of research conducted, trend in promotion, and teachers with master's degree. Most teachers lack training on research and are willing to attend future trainings. Teachers may be motivated to conduct research if they have knowledge on conducting research, available time, technical assistance, and confidence. The challenges of researchers are the pandemic itself, writing time, availability of respondents, analysis of data, laziness or drive to finish or interest, other assignments, and apprehensions. The best practices of research completers include teamwork, technical assistance, focus and time management, communication, online tools, related literature, rest, action, openness for correction, and ethical considerations. Based on these findings, we recommend the following. The teachers who conducted research who also finish a master's thesis and have knowledge on research may mentor their fellow teachers. The school, district, or division may provide training for teachers to capacitate them in conducting research. Capacity building may ensure to promote teachers' knowledge on conducting research, available time, technical assistance, and confidence. There is a need to promote a researcher mindset among teachers to confront the overwhelming challenges that researchers encounter in the conduct of research. Researchers need to observe teamwork, technical assistance, focus and time management, communication, online tools, related literature, rest, action, openness for correction, and ethical considerations in conducting research. And finally, the school, district, or division may continue to spearhead research conference, publish a school-based journal, and other means of dissemination.
Hello everyone, may I present to you our research, Effects of Peer Oral Feedbacking on Written Compositions of Grade 6 pupils of Cabading Elementary School with Sir Rufino D. Idanon III and yours truly, Mr. Rodian Daniel Arnaiz. One of the four characteristics of communicative competence theory states that social interaction provides an ideal context for mastering complex cognitive skills like writing. Traditionally, in the past years, it is the teacher who checks the students' written compositions. Some of them do these things painstakingly in order for the students to produce good revised compositions. However, due to time constraints, overloaded work, and big number of students and teachers, they can no longer give clear and thorough feedback on the students' compositions. They just sometimes underline the words which are ungrammatical, put question marks to those sentences or paragraphs which are vague in meaning, and place other marks which are not familiar or explained to the students. This research aimed to find out and it sought answers to the following questions. First, how do the teacher evaluators rate the first drafts of the written compositions of the pupil writers in terms of the following aspects: content, organization, grammar, and mechanics? How do the pupil editors give their oral feedback on the first draft of the composition of the pupil writers? Third, what is the extent of the pupil writers' acceptability of their peers' oral feedback regarding the first draft of the written composition? How do the teacher evaluators rate the revised written composition of the pupil writers? And last, is there a significant difference between the ratings of the teacher evaluators on the first draft and revised written compositions of the pupil writers? This study used a combination of both quantitative and qualitative procedure of research. This study is quantitative because each initial input in the pupil writer's draft was rated by teacher evaluators. Similarly, the feedback found in the revision of the composition given by the pupil editors to each pupil writer's initial input in the draft was rated by the teacher's evaluators. On the other hand, it is qualitative because the pupil writers were asked to respond to a survey or questionnaire that described how the pupil editors gave their oral feedback to the first draft of the written compositions of the pupil writers and the extent to which the pupil writers accepted the peer oral feedback in revising their written compositions. Both the quantitative and qualitative procedures will apply to all areas of compositions, the content, organization, grammar, and mechanics. After this, each pupil editor was given 30 minutes to share with the pupil writers their initial comments on the text. Each group followed this flow in giving the feedback and rubrics to be used. The study aimed to find out the effects of peer oral feedbacking in revising the written compositions of grade 6 pupils of Kabading Elementary School. The finding of the study revealed the following. The pupil writers got the lowest means in grammar and mechanics. The pupil editors give their oral feedback by means of giving suggestions, corrections, comments, and examples. The oral feedbacks on content, organization, grammar, and mechanics given by the pupil editors were acceptable to the pupil writers. The pupil writers improved significantly, specifically in content, organization, grammar, and mechanics of the revised written composition. There is a significant improvement in their overall writing performance. And lastly, there is a significant difference between the ratings of the teacher evaluators and the revised written compositions of the pupil writers. Through a series of analyses, the researchers were able to conclude the following findings. Peer oral feedback improved the pupil writers' compositions in content, organization, grammar, and mechanics. Provide suggestions, corrections, comments, and examples are ways to give the oral feedbacks. The pupil writers use their peers' oral feedbacks in revising their composition most of the time. Using the peer oral feedback, pupils, they are freely open to share ideas and promotes reasoning skills towards other pupils. With the use of rubric, it helps students, parents, and teachers identify what quality work is. Pupils can judge their own work and accept more responsibility of the final product. Rubrics help the teacher to easily explain to the student why they got the grade that they received. So these are the definitions and meanings of the peer feedback. Thank you so much for listening.
Good day everyone. We are from SHS in San Nicolas 3, SDO Bacoor City, proud to present to you our study entitled Development of QR Code Scanning and Body Temperature Screening Attendance Management System for learners of SHS in San Nicolas 3, Bacoor City. With the ever-growing development of technology today, the traditional ways of checking and recording attendance are becoming more outdated. In the Philippines, most of the public schools are using tedious and time-consuming attendance monitoring. It was found that manually counting and tallying the total number of attendees leads to errors and misperception because of human errors in recording and calculation. This apprehension led the researchers, educators, and policymakers to think of a solution to address this concern in education. Several studies show the use of technology to address the issues of the conventional attendance system, and it was found that the utilization of technology is an immediate and economical solution during and after the pandemic situation. These impacts of using technology in improving the school attendance system have prompted the researchers to develop a QR code scanning and body temperature screening attendance management system. The proposed innovation offers a full-blown automated attendance and temperature logging feature with minimal human intervention. These aim to help teachers in preventing chances of inaccurate results caused by human errors and saving more time compared to manual attendance monitoring. The main objective of the study was to develop a QR code scanning and body temperature screening attendance management system for learners of SHS in San Nicolas Bacoor City. Specifically, it demonstrated how the system was developed and determined the evaluation of teachers and learners on the proposed system in terms of its functional suitability, maintainability, portability, reliability, and usability. Descriptive evaluative design was employed in the study. This allows to carefully appraise the worthiness of the developed attendance management system, and the study utilized analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation or ADDIE model. This is to secure a systematic approach of developing and testing the process of proposed attendance management system. Convenient sampling was used to determine the participants of the study, and 354 learners and 72 teachers of SHS in San Nicolas Bacoor City were used as the participants. These include 5 ICT teachers who are classified as IT practitioners, and the study utilized the ISO IEC 25010 evaluation tool to evaluate the acceptability of QR code scanning and body temperature screening attendance management system in terms of functional suitability, maintainability, portability, reliability, and usability. Online survey was conducted using the adopted survey evaluation questionnaire, and the present study utilized Google Forms to collect data online. The mean and standard deviation were computed to measure the acceptability of the proposed system. Prior to the conduct of the study, a permission letter was given to the principal of the school, and participants were given an electronic informed consent. Parental consent was also given to the minor learner participants. All information was handled with utmost confidentiality. To answer the sub-problem 1, how is the QR code scanning and body temperature attendance management system developed? The developed attendance management system can be accessed by the teacher advisors. The teacher advisors can access the features of the window-based application by logging the respective user credentials. As indicated in Figure 1, the teacher advisors have the access to manage learner accounts. These modules enable the teacher advisors to add, edit, and delete learner credentials, and they can also conduct back creation of QR code and export the file from the system. While to answer the sub-problem 2, what's the evaluation of teachers and learners on the QR code scanning and body temperature screening attendance management system in terms of functional suitability, maintainability, portability, reliability, and usability, it was found that the evaluators showed a very much acceptable degree of agreement on all evaluation criteria, with an overall mean of 4.72. The functional suitability of the super had the highest evaluation with a mean of 4.79, followed by reliability and usability with a mean of 4.76 and 4.74 respectively. The portability of the attendance management system obtained a mean of 4.66, meanwhile its maintainability was identified the least criteria with a mean of 4.63. For the conclusions, based on the result of the study, the developed QR code scanning and body temperature screening attendance management system for learners of SHS in San Nicolas Bacoor City has successfully improved the attendance management through having a systematic procedure, online database and access, and appropriate features based on the existing needs of the teachers and learners. The developed attendance management system allowed the teacher advisors to effectively monitor the learners, resulting in an efficient and convenient generation of learner attendance. This was evaluated using an ISO IEC 25010 tool and was found to be very much acceptable.
Socrates once said, an unexamined life is not worth living. To our top management, co-researchers, and teachers, a pleasant day to all of you. I am Mr. Nathaniel Cesar from City Schools Division of Bacoor. Today, I am here to present my research entitled The Effect of Integrating Career Opportunities Approach on Personality of Grade 11 Students in Entrepreneurship. Understanding individual differences in certain personality traits such as sociability or irritability is one major emphasis of the study of personality. And when we speak of personality, it refers to individual differences in characteristic patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. On the other hand, entrepreneurship is one of the contextualized subjects of the senior high school curriculum. A strong work ethic, skills, passion, determination, competitiveness, confidence, and discipline are just few of the personality traits that have discovered to be widespread among successful entrepreneurs through various studies. Meanwhile, career opportunities refer to any opportunities that take anyone closer to his career goals. In addition, many dimensions of personality have been linked to career development. Thus, this study determined the effects of integrating career opportunities approach on personality of students and entrepreneurships. The next slide presents the methodology of the study. A quasi-experimental two-group pretest post-test design was used in the study. This study used the Cattell 16 personality factor questionnaire developed by Raymond Cattell. Purposive sampling was used in the study. A total of 40 grade 11 students came from two classes of the senior high school in progressive for the school year 2021-2022 for the samples of the study. During the pre-experimental stage, permission to conduct this study was asked and granted. During the experimental stage, the pretest for Cattell 16 personality factor questionnaire was administered on both classes. The lessons in the experimental class used the career opportunities approach, while lessons in the control class were based on the content of the module. The most essential learning competencies were considered on both classes. The statistical tools employed in this study are the mean, standard deviation, and t-test for independent and dependent samples. On the right side of the slide shows a sample of career opportunities approach article included in the lessons of the experimental class. The students were asked to read an article entitled So Many Choices, and from there, critical questions were asked as shown in the slide. One of the most essential part of integrating career opportunities approach in their lesson is that they are given a chance to take action about the issue. Also presented in this slide are parts of the Cattell 16 personality factor questionnaire. This personality test consists of 164 statements about a person. For each indicate how accurate it is on a scale of 1 for disagree, 2 for slightly disagree, 3 for neither agree nor disagree, 4 slightly agree, and 5 agree. Table 1 shows the pretest and post-test trait mean scores and standard deviation of the control class. In the pretest results, it shows that abstractedness and privateness have the highest mean pretest score of 2.3, while in the post-test results, it shows that warmth, abstractedness, and privateness have the highest mean post-test score of 2.6. Table 2 shows the pretest and post-test trait mean scores and standard deviation of the experimental class. In the pretest results, it shows that privateness has the highest mean pretest score of 2.4, while in the post-test result, it shows that privateness and social boldness and reasoning have the highest mean post-test score of 3.2, 3.1, and 3.1 respectively. Table 3 shows the pretest comparison of scores of the control and experimental classes. The result indicates that the experimental class has higher mean pretest score than the control class. The t-value is negative 0.72 when the t-value is 0.238. Since the computed value is greater than 0.05, the result is not significant. Table 4 shows the post-test comparison of scores of the control and experimental classes. The results indicates that the experimental class have higher mean post-test score than the control class. The t-value is negative 4.965. The t-value is 0.0. Since the computed value is less than 0.05, the result is significant. In general, students under the experimental class who were exposed to career opportunities approach in learning entrepreneurship have higher mean pretest and post-test score than the students under the control class who were exposed to conventional approach in the administration of Cattell 16 personality factor questionnaire. An implication to the findings of these studies that in entrepreneurship develops the personality traits of the students. Although there is no perfect formula for being a successful entrepreneur, but successful entrepreneurs generally possess common personality traits.
Good day, everyone. I am Jasper Tabuada, Master Teacher 1 of Mambog Elementary School. It is my honor to present to you my action research entitled Struggles and Coping Mechanism of Learners Under Blended Distance Learning Modality. This so-called new normal of delivering education to learners has also caused different effect on the emotional, psychological, and mental aspect of every learner. Many challenges and struggles have been encountered and experienced by them to cope up with the abrupt change in teaching and learning process setup. In relation to that, this study investigated and deepened down the mental and psychosocial distress or struggles experienced by the learners in continuing education through distance learning modalities, specifically on online learning amidst pandemic. It sought to determine the struggles and the differences in coping mechanisms of intermediate learners under blended distance learning modality of Mambog Elementary School, City Schools Division of Bacoor for the school year 2021-2022. This table shows the results of the Likert Scale questionnaire. The results show that both male and female learners use positive coping often, or the ability to ask for help when faced with a problem or finding where the mistake has been made. According to Mead, it has a similarity to problem-focused coping that aims to manage and solve the problem, develop relationships between the person and the environment, and change or eliminate stressful situations. However, the results also show that both male and female learners seek out support sometimes only from their teachers whenever they have difficulty in accomplishing school-related tasks. Learners use non-coping rarely. However, it was still a saddening truth that few of them blamed themselves and felt terrible and bad whenever they encountered problems. They also use denial coping sometimes. It means that they were trying to forget failures or problems instead of finding ways to overcome their struggles. They seek out or indulge in leisure activities like watching TV, playing games, outdoor activities, and others to occupy their time and thoughts. Learners use projective coping rarely or blaming other people when faced with problems or struggles. This calls for immediate actions in the school and family to address this kind of behavior and concern to the children. For the results on struggles experienced by learners in distance learning, they were categorized into five. First is the learning struggles. Learners struggling to accomplish learning tasks given by teacher. They were having a hard time understanding math concepts. They have also difficulty in understanding lessons of modules, fluctuating internet connection during online classes, and they were anxious on grades to be given by teachers. Second is family problems. The parents of the learners have lost their job during pandemic. They have financial problem for family needs and constant changes of parents' schedule to assist them in learning. Third is health problems. They were worried to catch COVID-19. They got sick most of the time and their parents got sick. Fourth is personal and emotional struggles, like being moody, no focus in studying at home, can't go outside to play with friends, can't visit relatives and friends due to COVID restrictions, feeling insecure and left behind, anxious and parents' high expectations and being compared with others, depression and feeling alone, lack of motivation to work on modules, having social anxiety, breakdown, and confused on what to do first, household chores or modules. And the last is the other category like typhoon or storm. Pupils are facing with problems or struggles when there's a typhoon since Mambog is a flood-prone area. In the light of above findings, this conclusion has been drawn that there is no significant difference in the coping mechanisms between male and female learners when they were faced with problems or struggles.
It is a school's vision to provide the students an environment where they will willingly pursue their dreams and be a haven of hopes even for the deprived. No one should be left behind. This mantra should be upheld by all the schools regardless of the students' level of skills. In line with this, we would like to present you our study with the title, Embracing the Peculiarity of Mixed Reading Difficulties Amidst Pandemic, a basis for intervention plan in remedial reading program. We cannot deny the fact that the existence of students requiring an academic assistance and guidance is still prevalent. These students lack other abilities that they need in order to succeed in the different learning areas. Literacy is indeed necessary. Students need to have literacy skills in order to decipher the depth of the world. Reading contributes a lot to literacy. It has been the major predictor of success in all educational institutions because reading means you understand what you read. Without reading, it will be impossible to create new learning and communicate with the world. Literacy improvement is one of the top priorities of the Department of Education that supports Every Child a Reader program. This aims to make every child a reader at his or her grade level. Students must learn to read to be successful in our educational system and society as a whole. In order to do so, it is imperative for all the public schools across the country to aid them in developing this skill. Literacy improvement is one of the top priorities of the Department of Education that supports Every Child a Reader program. This aims to make every child a reader at his or her grade level. Students must learn to read to be successful in our educational system and society as a whole. In order to do so, it is imperative for all the public schools across the country to aid them in developing this skill. Even though reading is one of the most valued skills in the school, many students continue to struggle learning to read. Over the past years, Libhon National High School's result of the Philippine Informal Reading Inventory appears to be constant. It shows that a high number of students are considered poor readers because of their placement in frustration level. Some of them are those that are struggling in both word recognition and reading comprehension. When students have mixed reading difficulties, they are most likely to have poor reading performance. An intensive reading intervention plan is created to enhance the word reading and comprehension skills of the students, strengthen their love for reading, and also heighten the participation of stakeholders. In our study, we have identified the following. First, the students' reading level in terms of their word recognition and reading comprehension. Second are the specific areas in reading that should be given emphasis among the grade 8 learners with mixed reading difficulties. Third are the implications of MRD in the reading performance of grade 8 learners. And lastly is the intervention plan for a remedial reading program that may be proposed for the grade 8 learners with mixed reading difficulties. In this study, mixed method was utilized where quantitative and qualitative data were gathered. In practice, most researchers agreed that combining qualitative and quantitative techniques produced a richer and more comprehensive understanding of the research area. 45 grade 8 learners and 4 language teachers were the respondents of the study. The interview was done with the language teachers to get more information that would support the quantitative data from the field area. This helped the researchers decide activities, techniques, and strategies in designing the reading program intervention plan. The interview was done by following the health and safety protocols amidst the pandemic. In addition, the responses from the interview were further utilized in identifying the problems of the respondents in terms of word decoding and comprehension. These are the findings that are accumulated after analyzing the data. Word recognition and comprehension are two fundamental prongs of reading. Basically, a learner must learn to read words first and then comprehend the whole selection or text. This means that the student's ability to comprehend the text essentially depends to his ability to accurately and proficiently read a whole text. Until now, many older readers are still struggling in word decoding and recognition that leads to poor comprehension. This calls for a multi-component reading intervention which is specifically intended for this kind of readers. The utilization of this intervention will possibly address mixed reading difficulties within a single intervention. Multi-component interventions strive to acknowledge the reader's limited literacy skills while simultaneously developing their higher order processing abilities.
The current situation of the educational system in the Philippines is challenged due to the existence of the COVID-19 pandemic. The continuous delivery of quality, accessible, relevant, and liberating education is now the biggest concern that should be considered as we move towards fighting this pandemic. In the past years, teachers have faced challenges planning and seeking for new knowledge and innovation strategies to ensure the delivery of an effective distance education in this time of new normal. It remains an essential responsibility for teachers to find ways and new strategies to ensure that students are learning even at a distance. Teachers have taught students for years using the traditional lecture method in the classroom and having students take word problems home. It has been observed that many students do not meet the standard expectation in regular classroom teaching in accordance with their ability. Now, the modern mathematics classroom is beginning to see a change in how students learn. With the advancement of online technology, teachers have begun using more innovative approaches to teach our students. The inverted classroom suggests conforms to the way students learn today in this digital world. The point of using this teaching strategy is that it changes the environment for initial introduction of new materials. In the flipped classroom, students are given initial information outside of the classroom and use the class time to build their knowledge base. Students can now acquire fundamental concepts and basic learning competencies of the subjects through readings, video lectures, and other sources outside the classroom. In this way, students will perform challenging tasks in class where teachers' help is much needed and can easily be given to them. In mathematics, the flipped classroom is a method that the teachers hope will alleviate students of some of the stress that the already difficult subject bestows upon them. While trying to comprehend the material and get them to interact with each other and the content, students would feel more confident and engaged in their own learning. Proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy. In the current educational situation of the Philippines, it is somehow imposed by the existing health crisis the new normal for the classroom teaching learning delivery. With the current practice of blended learning where classroom lecture prevails, it is now a question for mathematics teachers on how learning for distance students can still be meaningful. In the traditional classroom setting, the transfer of knowledge is commonly undertaken by mathematics teachers, whereas challenging questions and problems are usually completed by the students through homework. The flipped classroom learning reverses this conventional format of learning. With the limited time the teacher has to interact real-time with the students, learning materials for lectures are now given prior to participating in online face-to-face activities. In this way, the time that would be allotted to lecturing in traditional method is used for activities to reinforce their initial learning. During class time, the students will take part in a variety of activities where they will apply what they initially learned the day before the asynchronous class. This will lead teachers to better teach students problem solving and critical thinking skills since they spend more time during class in the practice of these necessary mathematical skills.
Good day everyone, I am Sir Bong the Intak from SDO Batangas City. Here is my action research entitled Developing Oral Reading Skills of Grade 1 Pupils Through Guided Reading Approach, which generally aims to determine its effectiveness as an approach in developing the oral reading skills of Grade 1 pupils performing below grade level in reading. One of the first things a child needs to learn in school is how to read. Everyone must have it to be successful. It also serves as a tool for communication, learning new languages, and exchanging knowledge and concepts. Reading is a skill that needs constant development, practice, and improvement. A key strategy in literacy instruction is guided reading. According to Martella and Lambert 2015, guided reading is a well-liked method of teaching reading in today's schools and districts that are implementing response to intervention programs. According to Fontas and Finel 2017, guided reading takes place in a small group setting because it allows for reader interactions that are beneficial to everyone. Guided reading is any learning context in which the teacher guides one or more students through some aspect of the reading process, choosing books, making sense of text, decoding and defining words, reading fluently, monitoring one's comprehension, determining the author's purpose, and so on. Specifically, this study sought to answer the following questions. 1. How does the reading skills of grade 1 learners be described in terms of accuracy, fluency, and comprehension? 2. What are the factors that affect the reading readiness of grade 1 pupils? 3. How many guided reading approach be utilized in developing the oral reading skills of the pupils? And 4. Based on the findings of the study, what other activities may be proposed to enhance the oral reading skills of the pupils? The researcher utilized a stratified random sampling technique. The subjects for the study consist of 35 grade 1 pupils who were identified based on the pre-assessment during the school year 2021 to 2022. For the study, the researcher constructs a research-made questionnaire to know the level of oral reading skills of grade 1 through the guided reading approach. The responses were given corresponding qualitative descriptions as reflected on the screen. The results of the questionnaire was gathered and tabulated, analyzed and interpreted using statistical procedures and techniques derived from the results of pupils' performance scores. In terms of the study's restrictions, the following were considered: asking for full consent of the respondents, individuals and organizations participating in the study remained anonymous, and any deceit or exaggeration regarding the study's goals and objectives has been avoided. It is evident that the grade 1 pupils' oral reading skills increased. The interventions using the guided reading approach yielded positive results. Based on the findings, the following conclusions were drawn. 1. Accuracy, fluency, and reading comprehension issues in grade 1 were successfully addressed. 2. The students fairly displayed their accuracy in oral reading abilities. 3. The guided reading approach is intended to assist learners in developing their reading skills. And 4. More suggested activities to develop students' oral reading abilities through guided reading. Based on the findings and conclusion of the research study, the following are hereby recommended. 1. The intervention of guided reading using level texts is highly recommended. 2. Teachers and students may be encouraged to employ guided reading approaches and strategies throughout the class. 3. The researcher recommends employing flexible grouping intervention. And 4. Future researchers may use the findings on this study as a foundation and points of reference when conducting studies on using activities in the reading lessons. Presented here are the references I used in this study. Well, that is all I have for today. Thank you.
Localized intervention materials in enhancing the literacy of grade 1 learners in Bagong Silang Elementary School during the time of pandemic. The pandemic greatly created a scar on this planet, and education has been among the phases of life which has been immensely affected. On the other hand, despite the threats of the pandemic, education continues. Importantly, it must be recognized that reading has been on top of priorities of every educational institution, and developing pupils' reading literacy should not be hampered by any circumstance. Meanwhile, many researchers revealed the declining performance of pupils in reading. It is for the reason that various strategies and techniques be explored and employed in order to patch the perennial dilemma. With the recognition of the weak performance of pupils in reading, the researcher came up with the contextualized and localized reading materials aiming to develop the pupils' reading literacy skills. In this study, 31 grade 1 pupils of Bagosilang Elementary School served as subjects. More so, the researcher made use of pre-test and post-test in reading in order to quantify and describe pupils' performance. Based on the results, it was found that majority of the pupils had a below average performance in reading based on the given pre-test. Meanwhile, after the intervention was implemented, it was found that the pupils had an improved performance. In fact, majority of the pupils were able to attain an average performance. It was also found that the use of intervention material was effective in enhancing pupils' skills in reading. The reading achievement of the learners must be the major concern of the entire educational system. This is to improve quality outcomes because, according to UNESCO 2002, if the reading skills will not be improved among the learners, it will contribute to high dropout rates, high number of repeaters, low passing grades, and inadequate language skills. These problems, in return, result a considerable number of illiterate Filipinos and out-of-school youths and graduates who are not prepared for work. The data utilized in this study were the results of the pretest and post-test in reading. Particularly, the researcher prepared a pretest to determine the level of performance of pupils in reading before the implementation of the intervention. In addition, the early grade reading assessment was also considered in preparation of the pretest and post-test for the purpose of this study. The subjects of this study were 31 grade 1 pupils of Bagong Elementary School during the school year 2020-2021. To quantify the results of the study, several statistical tools such as percentage and t-tests were employed. The following are the results and the analysis done from the data. To quantify the performance of pupils in literacy, the students were given a pre-test in reading, which is composed of 15 items based on the early grade reading assessment EGRA. After the implementation of the intervention, it was found that pupils achieved an average score of 9.84 in the given post-test. These pupils were identified to have average performance in reading. This indicates that the pupils had an improved performance as compared to their scores during the pre-test. 100% or all 31 pupils registered an improved performance in reading based on the comparison of the pre-test and post-test given. This indicates that the pupils were able to enhance their skills in reading with the use of the intervention materials. All the pupils were able to get passing scores in the assessment provided. From the findings in this study, the following conclusions are drawn. The pupils' improved performance could be attributed to the exposure to varied localized materials in reading, which somehow boosted their confidence to read different texts. At the same time, pupils' motivation to reading was somehow improved with the texts which are familiar to them. Pupils' interest toward reading was also somehow boosted with their exposure to localized reading materials. The recommendations are offered. It could be synthesized that using varied localized reading materials could be valuable in enhancing pupils' reading literacy skills.
Good day, everyone. This is Daryl A. Bautista from Baharan Integrated School from SDO Batangas City, Region 4A, Calabarzon. And together with my co-researchers, Ms. Marisol Aldover and Ms. Enaida Garbin, we conducted this study from fearful to elite a communication apprehension profile of grade 11 STEM, UMS, and TVL students of Baharan Integrated School. Due to the pandemic and other natural calamities, the implementation of the program had to be transformed into various modalities such as online, modular, and blended learning. With the numerous changes in the setup that kept students away from their teachers, their peers, and also the learning resources available in schools, it became challenging to make sure if they gained the necessary skills they were expected to achieve by the time they finished senior high school. Such skills include their communication skills, particularly in English. Communication apprehension refers to how a person feels when communicating as opposed to how they communicate. A person may have good communication skills, yet still experience significant levels of anxiety and tension in communication settings. Individuals who have a high level of communication apprehension are less able to interact effectively since this apprehension accentuates a tendency to avoid communicating with others. Learning through different learning modalities implemented in schools due to the pandemic, students have found communicating with teachers and peers challenging. Thus, this study sought to determine, compare, and analyze the communication apprehension levels of senior high school students to identify where instruction can be focused to improve their communication skills during school year 2021 and 2022. This study sought to answer the following questions. 1. Is there a significant difference in the overall communication apprehension of grade 11 STEM, UMS, and TVL ICT CSS students? 2. Is there a significant difference in the communication apprehension level of grade 11 STEM, UMS, and TVL ICT CSS in each of the four common communication contexts: group discussion, meetings, interpersonal communication, and public speaking? 3. Is there a significant relationship between the following demographic factors and the communication apprehension of grade 11 STEM, UMS, and TVL ICT CSS students in gender and educational attainment of parents and guardians? For the methods, this study employed a descriptive evaluative research design. The students involved in the study were grade 11 senior high school students of Paharan Integrated School enrolled in the academic year 2021-2022, taking up STEM, UMS, and TVL ICT CSS. For this study, the researchers made use of the Personal Report of Communication Apprehension, or the PRCA 24, whose primary proponent is James McCroskey. Further results and discussion. For number 1, overall communication apprehension of the respondents when they are grouped according to strand. By using chi-square to test the difference in the overall communication apprehension of the respondents, it is said to be not significant with a p-value of 0.2644. Although the values of mean and standard deviation vary statistically, they are not significantly different. For number 2, communication apprehension level of the respondents in each of the four communication contexts. Overall, the results show that the lowest communication apprehension is reported in a group discussion. It could be due to the nature of the group discussion, wherein communication is only between peers and the language used may be informal. The same can be said with interpersonal conversation and for meetings. However, publics show that the highest level of communication apprehension belongs to public speaking. It is because public speaking requires more formality and is needed to be presented with greater skills. Conclusions. Number 1, the study revealed that regardless of the strand the students are taking up, they have a similar average level of communication apprehension. Since students in Paharing Conclusions. The study revealed that regardless of the strand the students are taking up, they have a similar average level of communication apprehension. Number 2, the scores of the three strands in the four communication contexts, which are group discussions, meetings, interpersonal communication, public speaking, also did not vary significantly, although the students still have slight CA in the first three contexts. The highest communication apprehension scores were noticeable in public speaking across all strands, which suggests some communication apprehension. 3, there was significant relationship between CA and gender that can be attributed to the difference between how male and female students respond to the situations where they are required to communicate. And number 4, an intervention that focuses on developing public speaking skills will greatly benefit the students since public speaking is a communication context that they are most apprehensive about. Recommendations: the students should be treated equally and be given a lot of speaking exercises or tasks with the end in mind that they will all develop eloquence and speech. Number 2, more instances or chances of speaking in meetings will lessen the apprehension of students of public speaking, as it will serve as the training grounds for students in organizing their thoughts and speaking their minds. 3, gender equality must always be present in the classroom so that students will experience the freedom to express their thoughts without fear or prejudice. And number 4, the school may implement a program called ELITES, English Literacy Improvement toward Empowerment of Students.
Good day, everyone. I am George Aguado from Alangilan Senior High School, Batangas City. My study entitled Classroom Behavioral Menu in a Self-Regulated Learning Environment Towards an Improved Science Cognitive Skills. For my introduction, we have the goal of education, goal of science education, self-regulated learning environment, education, and a distance learning. Carson 2012 cited learning, which has been defined as disposition to interact in learning activities where the students take personal responsibility for shaping and bringing off the learning endeavors in an autonomous way without being granted or guided by people. For my conceptual framework, three frameworks were used to furnish this conceptual argument for this research. First, we have choice theory menu, self-regulated learning theory, adult learning theory. For the input process output, we have input, student self-regulated learning assessment, students behavior assessment, designing lesson exemplar integrating classroom behavioral menu, students cognitive science process skills performance, assessment of the classroom behavioral menu for the process, and for our product or output, we have the design classroom behavioral menu in a self-regulated learning environment towards an improved science cognitive skills. For the statement of the problem, these are the questions. What is the self-regulated learning practices of the students? How are students' behavior in the distance learning be approached? What is the pre-test and post-test scores of the students? How does the respondents assess in effectiveness of designed lesson exemplar with classroom behavioral menu? Is there significant difference between pre-test and post-test scores of the students? And is there a significant relationship between the assessed classroom behavioral menu? And for the result, what is the assessed self-regulated learning practices of the students? Table 1 shows that most of the students highly practice in tapping into joy. It was utilized in the classroom behavioral menu. And the table 2, based on the result, all of the learning practices of the students' readiness to learn were highly practiced. Table 3, results show that all of the learning practices of the students' orientation learning were highly practiced. Table 4, it shows that all of the learning practices of the students' motivation were highly practiced. For the question, what are the students' behavior in distance learning? Table 5, most of the students were able to know the skills that they need to improve practicing self-affirmations. For the table 6, most observed by discussing the learning objectives clearly in the students have gained more confidence. For the table number 7, the students giving opportunity to use preferred technology doing the activities. Moreover, table 8, most observed through proper communication between students and the teacher. For that question, what are the pre-test and post-test scores of the students in science cognitive skills? Table 9, pre-test scores of the students mostly falls at the basic, while on the other hand, table 10, post-test scores, the students in advanced level perform good. On the question, how does the respondents assess the effectiveness of the designed lesson classroom behavioral menu? In table number 11, classroom behavioral menu, students were able to adhere the necessary cognitive skills needed. And in table 12, students rated user-friendliness aspect of the classroom behavioral menu as highly accepted. On table number 13, majority of the students rated the utility aspects of classroom behavioral menu as highly accepted. On the table 14, few of the students when it comes in practicality, not all the students can attain it was not fitted their personal circumstances. Table 15, few of the students that when it comes to practicality, not all the students can attain it was not fitted their personal circumstances. And for the finding of the study, students assess their self-regulated learning environments highly practiced. Students' behavior as distance learning approach is highly assessed, observed that subject-centeredness. Pre-test scores a student reveals that majority of the students falls to basic and for the post-test falls to advanced level. Majority of the students rated the classroom behavioral menu as highly accepted. There is significant difference between pre-test and post-test scores. And lastly, there is no significant relationship between assessed classroom behavioral menu. And for the conclusion, the null hypothesis stating that there is no significant difference between student pre-test and post-test science practice skills is not sustained. As far as indicating the result, the null hypothesis stating that there's no significant relationship between the students' classroom behavioral menu and students' cognitive science practice skills. And for the recommendation, more comprehensive findings, further studies on the same area concentration may be conducted. Thank you and God bless.
Provision of Learner Support Aid (LSA), a complementary service to promote achievement among IP learners and teachers. worldwide public health emergency brought by COVID-19 pandemic demands great achievements in terms of teaching and learning. It greatly impacts the transport of learning from teachers to learners. In accordance with DepEd's mandate to establish, maintain, and support a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the needs of the people, the country, and society at large. As adjustments in education has been put on trend, teachers played additional tasks along with new expectations in the new normal. Thus, the need for the learning support aids is pivotal. LSAs are qualified individuals who will work together in collaboration with teachers and contribute to the provision of learning opportunities that promote achievement and progression of learners. This study aims to describe the impact of the provision of Learning Support Aid or LSA in promoting achievement among IP learners and teachers of SDO Batangas City during the school year 2021-2022. The following questions were set to answer. Researchers use both quantitative and qualitative methods in this study to assess the impact of LSA in promoting achievement among IP learners and teachers and significant differences between variables. The researcher used the school data to see the comparison of the class and individual achievement of learners and organized a focus group discussion and one-on-one interviews with the key informants. Participants of the study comprise 16 IP teachers and 2 school heads from Malitam and Wawa Elementary School. The data of the 121 learners were also gathered. After consents were secured, researchers conducted a focus group discussion virtually. A self-made interview guide questions were flashed on the TV screen to be viewed by the participants. In this study, the following statistical tools are used to assess gathered data to determine the impact of the program on learners' performance with and without having LSA. Before the conduct of the focus group discussion and individual interviews, the researchers seek for the approval of the key informants. The following are the challenges and concerns which paved way for the call for learning support. The following were directly quoted upon interview to the teachers and LSAs with respect to the improvement of their job competencies. As clearly shown in the result, there is a significant difference between having and not having LSA with respect to the achievement of IP learners. This only suggests that LSA did a great job in guiding IP learners regardless of the limitations of distance learning. From the interview, LSA learned a lot from the teachers like dedication, passion, and love for children whoever they are. As to teachers, the lightened workload is the greatest benefit they got from having LSA. Provision of LSA greatly contribute to the school's achievement. Learners who are struggling in learning or at risk of dropping out due to underlying factors were saved. Allocation of LSAs to higher level of IP learners with the most struggling status may be proposed. Provision of LSAs in school with extreme need of learning support may be done. The following are the references used for the completion of the study.
Our study is entitled Live Experiences of the Public School Heads in the New Normal, a phenomenological study in the division of Batangas City. My name is Lilibet Vertus. My co-researchers are Mena Di Torres and Flora Hernandez. For the context and rationale, DepEd Order Number 12 Series 2020, the learning must continue and the school must implement new procedures. While DDP 2022, schools will focus on school plan implementation, curriculum implementation, creating an ideal learning environment, resource management, professional development, improvement of instruction, classroom assessment, and building local partnerships. For our action resource questions, number one, what are the school leaders' actual experiences in managing the school in the new normal in terms of communication, report submission, disaster preparedness, mitigation, and resiliency in school, school planning and execution, and collaboration of stakeholders? Number two, how can the new normal of principal management be described in terms of the following: adaptability and decision making? Three, what are the difficulties that the school heads face in managing the schools in the new normal? Four, based on the findings, how can the school heads' professional enhancement activities aid in school management in the new normal?
The proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy, the school head's professional enhancement activities are learning about their lived experiences, identifying the challenges the school leaders face, formulation and identification, which is the school head's professional enhancement activities. For the methodology, the researcher used a descriptive qualitative research with 6 public elementary and secondary school heads from Batangas City Division. For the data collection, we used the qualitative phenomenological research design using thematic analysis of the interviewees' answers. And for the data gathering procedure, we sought the permission of the school's division superintendent and we ensured data privacy of the participants. Actual experiences of school heads in terms of communication, majority of school heads in Division of Batangas City found out that communication in times of pandemic between colleagues and DepEd officials are difficult and challenging to manage the school. And in terms of submission of reports, they were able to submit reports on time due to effectiveness of the online platforms and the school safety and disaster preparedness, mitigation and resiliency. School heads stated that managing the school is made possible through collaboration with various stakeholders such as internal and external stakeholders. In terms of school planning implementations, participants were able to communicate the school's plans and programs and implementation with regards to stakeholders' partnership. They used virtual, in-person, sending letters as well as email and social media. With respect to description of school management, all school principals are adaptable, able to quickly adapt to new situations, and are always open to and prepared for potential changes. And on decision making, the greatest number of participants responded to the need for consultation prior to making final decisions. And on difficulties that the school heads face in managing the schools in the new normal, teachers' resistance to change, hesitance and doubt about distance learning. Another issue is a lack of funds to carry out all necessary preparations and provide learners with learning support. And another challenge is getting stakeholders to participate in school assembly.
Number four, assistance with professional development activities for school heads in the new normal. School heads enable them to complete their learning continuity plan and continuous improvement process. They created their own plans for learning recovery and continuity plans. Their ICT skills have improved and collaboration among school leaders in the preparation of school-based management and other reports improve. This is our framework. Technical assistance from supervisors and higher officials is critical in managing the school. Peer collaboration among school principal is required. The administrators want their stakeholders to be equal partners in planning and execution of school programs, projects, and activities. And school heads need mental and stakeholder support to function effectively.
Correlation of science performance to scientific literacy and multiple intelligences of grade 9 students in Talumpok Integrated School, basis for science and MA-based learning activities. Over the years, science education has been one of the most significant parts of the life of students. Being literate in science will help them cope with the drastic changes in their surroundings. Shazadi and Nasreen 2020 defined scientific literacy as the capability to artistically use scientific knowledge in daily life to solve problems. On the other hand, the phenomenal issue that the schools face is the diversity of the students. In a typical classroom setting, teachers cannot easily determine the weaknesses and strengths of their students without prior knowledge of their background. As a matter of fact, remembering their names on the first day of school is a bit of their concern. What more if the student's profile is being subjected to study? These are what we know as multiple intelligences. It is evident that students lack a deeper understanding of science as one of the subjects where students experience difficulty. The achievement rate in science at Talumpok Integrated School for school year 2021 to 2022 was 83.59, which ranked second to the lowest among the 8 subject areas. With this, the researcher was motivated and challenged to pursue the study to assess the correlation of the academic performance of students in science to the level of scientific literacy and the multiple intelligences of grade 9 students at Talumpok Integrated School and further develop multiple intelligence-based learning activities. Are the research questions of the study. This aimed to determine the correlation of science performance to scientific literacy and multiple intelligences of grade 9 students at Talumpok Integrated School. Specifically, to determine the science performance of the students in the school year 2021 to 2022, to identify the scientific literacy level of the students, to describe the multiple intelligences of the students, to investigate the significant relationship of students' science performance to their scientific literacy and multiple intelligences. Last, to prepare science and multiple intelligence-based learning activities. Research methodology. This study utilized a descriptive correlational research design. Subjects of the study, 85 grade 9 students from Talumpok Integrated School. Data gathering instrument. A standardized test and an adapted standardized questionnaire were the major data gathering instruments used to collect necessary information pertinent to the study. Data gathering procedure. The researchers used Google Forms and survey questionnaire dissemination, which was sent through online platforms and answered by the students. Those who can answer the questionnaire online were provided a printed copy. The responses were tallied, scored, and tabulated for statistical treatment. As shown in the chart, 29 students or 34.12% of the total respondents had fairly satisfactory performance, depicting that majority of the students found difficulty in learning science. Moreover, based on the results, most of the respondents got scores ranging from 7 to 12, which corresponds to poor level science literacy, which manifests that majority are having difficulties in terms of science concepts and methods, and even understanding some principles and theories in science. Highlighted in this study was the categorization of the multiple intelligences of grade 9 students. This presents the types of multiple intelligences of the students, and as shown in this chart, 15 or 17.65% of the total respondents belong to the kinesthetic intelligence category. This infers that the majority of the respondents in the study were interested in physical activities. Relationship of science performance to science literacy of the students. As reflected in the table, the computed R value of 0.638 had a p-value of 0.000001, which was less than 0.05 level of significance. This indicates that the hypothesis was rejected and there is a significant relationship between students' science performance and their science literacy. Relationship of academic performance to multiple intelligences of the students. It is clearly shown that the computed R value had a p-value of 0.003, which indicates that the variables have a significant relationship. Hence, science performance reflects the multiple intelligences the students have. Conclusions. Number 1, most of the grade 9 students have fairly satisfactory performance in science. Number 2, most of the students have a low scientific literacy level. Number 3, students possess an interest in kinesthetic intelligence but less in logical intelligence. Number 4, there is a significant relationship between science performance, scientific literacy, and the multiple intelligences of the students.
Good day, everyone. I am Ethel O. Cueto, and with me is my co-researcher, Dr. Julorita A. Babao from SDO Batangas City, presenting this study entitled Safe Back to School, Challenges Encountered in the Implementation of Limited Face-to-Face Classes in the New Normal. Adapting to the culture of new normal in education, having the limited face-to-face classes amidst the COVID-19 pandemic is a crucial choice and move in the part of the education sector. Despite the reported success of the pilot implementation of face-to-face classes in select schools across the country, predicaments are still raised whether the entire implementation sprinted smoothly and may suggest for an expansion of the face-to-face classes in the succeeding days. Well-planned and smooth execution of face-to-face classes in the new normal is crucial to ensure the safety of the students, parents, teachers, school staff, and even stakeholders. To remedy the challenges encountered by the teachers and students in the implementation of face-to-face classes in the new normal, specifically the level of participation of the teachers and students towards the implementation of limited face-to-face classes in the new normal in terms of safety procedures and teaching and learning process. Moreover, it determined the challenges encountered by the teachers and students in the implementation of limited face-to-face classes with an end view of proposing additional inputs to address the challenges encountered by both teachers and students. Descriptive method of research was employed, and using purposive sampling method, the subjects of the study were identified and asked to answer the survey questionnaire through Google form. It can be gleaned that the teachers participated and ensured adherence of the safety procedures during the implementation of limited face-to-face classes in Gulod Senior High School. Meanwhile, students actively adhered to the safety procedures employed during the implementation of limited face-to-face classes in Gulod Senior High School. In terms of teaching and the learning process, it can be seen from the results that teachers actively participated in different collegiate discussions to enhance teaching strategies during the limited face-to-face classes in the new normal. Students, on the other hand, had also showed their participation in the teaching-learning process amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. With regards to the implementation of the limited face-to-face classes as a whole, basic safety protocols were followed by both the teachers and the students. The same is true with the teaching-learning process, wherein both students and teachers observe the different activities employed in the limited face-to-face classes that may enhance the teaching and learning process and aid both the teachers and the students. Lastly, the challenges encountered by the teachers highlighted the issues on the appropriate teaching strategies, time for preparation, and supply of learning resources that are beneficial to the conduct of the limited face-to-face classes, whereas students have encountered challenges focusing on their behavioral and mental health issues, time management, and communication barriers. Based on the findings of this study, here are the conclusions. And here are the recommendations for this study. The practices in following the safety protocols must be continuously strengthened. Safety protocols or procedures during limited face-to-face classes must be religiously monitored. Schedule for monitoring must be prepared and planned, and consistently conduct an evaluation thereafter. And replication of the study focusing on a larger scale with additional respondents and other variables. Thank you very much for listening and have a good day.
Habang nakatingin sa langit, mula sa aming maliit na sityo sa kabundukan ng Santo Domingo, naaalala ko ang sinabi ni Nanay.
Language and culture have been the interweaving human foundation of growth and development. In the advent of human systems, both have been recognized as prerequisite and necessary coexistent of the other. Education system has been putting emphasis of consideration of culture in the language learning. Batangueño culture and community learning resources are authentic areas to study the distinctive ways English teachers contextualize meaningful language instruction as they use this lingua
Ako ang
cultural
kanilang
aspect
panganay.
in learning
Iniwan
English.
ng responsibilidad, pinangakuan at pinaasang babalikan.
It is a pleasure to share to you findings of my research entitled Cultural Identity Contextualizing and Scaffolding Language Learning Process. K-12 curriculum recognized the existential relationship of language and culture, thus establishing contextualization as its guiding principle. Hence, the study identified the significant impact of the local culture to language, perceptions of English teachers towards contextualization, and factors on establishing meaningful situations in both oral and written discourse. Grounded theory and semi-structured interview thematic analysis were utilized in the study, which involved English teachers from the division of Batangas City.
Umabot na sa gayon.
Palibasa ako'y gitarista. Lagi kong gitara. Halos gabi-gabi dala ko sa kanila. Kantahan kami. Sa pagsasagutan namin sa kanta, sa harana. Nalaman ko ako'y nagugustuhan.
Nung una, baliwala sa akin. Pero hindi ko alam na talaga siya palang magiging kapalaran ko. Yung pala siya na nga.
Teachers shall consider the sociocultural context of the learners, functional language, and use of localized materials as they immerse their learners from local to indigenized situations and scaffold from simple to complex and specific learning context. In the contextualizing language learning process, cultural identity plays a significant role as learners are able to display of local culture and identity in oral and written communication activities and share of local beliefs through meaningful communication situations. Teachers has positive perception on contextualization, believing that it promotes improvement of learning outcomes, contributes to understanding and mastery of the lesson, and gives language a real communicative value. The researcher proposed 3 I's: identify, immerse, indigenize, a 3-level theoretical approach to contextualizing and scaffolding language learning process. In the end, I still strongly believe that in the language learning process, teachers should again go back to the basic principle of learning. It is meet where your learners are. I am Gaily Masangkay, a master teacher from SDO Batangas City.
Oo, ate. Salamat ha. Kung wala ka, paano naman kami? Oo nga, ate. Palagi na lang kami nakaasa sa'yo. Salamat at maaasahan ka talaga. Hindi nga namin alam kung babalik pa si nanay. Pero ayos lang kasi nandiyan ka naman, hindi mo pagpapabayaan. Hana, babalik si nanay. Babalik siya, alam ko yun. Baka bukas, o kaya sa sunod na bukas. Basta, alam ko babalik yun. Sabi na sa'yo ate. At habang wala pa si nanay, nandiyan ka para sa amin. Yan, klase na. Buta na kayo sa inyo-inyo.
Masalimuot ang buhay. Pero sa araw-araw, kahit nasasaktan at nahihirapan, pipilitin kong bumangon, ngumiti at muling mangarap. Ngayon, muli akong titingala sa langit at aabutin ang aming pag-asa.
Project GP, Guiding Gun to Enhance Parents' Knowledge and Preparation of Nutritious Meals for Undernourished Children. This action research centered on determining the level of knowledge of parents on the preparation of nutritious meals for their children. The respondents in this study were 80 parents whose children are undernourished. The respondents were selected using purposive random sampling. Furthermore, this study utilized a questionnaire to gather the necessary data. The responses of the respondents before and after the implementation of the intervention were compared to determine whether the used intervention was effective. Based on the results gathered, parents had moderately high knowledge in terms of meal preparation. On the other hand, it was found that their knowledge was improved after the intervention was implemented since a lower p-value was obtained as compared to zero point zero 0.05 level of significance. It was then found that the intervention was effective in enhancing the parents' awareness as to meal preparation, which could lead to improvement of health of undernourished children. Pinggang Pinoy is a new, easy to understand food guide that uses a familiar food plate model to convey the right food group proportions on a per meal basis to meet the body's energy and nutrient needs of Filipino adults. Pinggang Pinoy serves as visual tool to help Filipinos adopt healthy eating habits at meal times by delivering effective dietary and healthy lifestyle messages. The Pinggang Pinoy can be used side by side with the existing DNG pyramid for Filipinos, but it will not replace it. According to FNRI, Pinggang Pinoy is a quick and easy guide on how much to eat per mealtime, while the DNG pyramid shows, at a glance, the whole day food intake recommendation. Both the Pinggang Pinoy and the DNG pyramid for Filipinos are based on the latest science about how our food, drink, and activity choices affect our health. To gather the needed data, a questionnaire was used by the researcher. In the construction of the questionnaire, the researcher gathered data as to nutrition issues among children in the Philippines. Likewise, interviews and consultations were done by the researcher to gather supplemental data for the preparation of the instrument. After the questionnaire was constructed, it was then validated by some experts in terms of children's nutrition. After the questionnaire was validated, it was administered among the identified respondents through online platform. The subjects of the study were 80 parents of undernourished pupils of Bagong Silang Elementary School. These parents were encouraged to participate in the study. Based on the gathered data, the parents agreed that they have moderately high knowledge in terms of cooking meals using easily available vegetables as to obtain a weighted mean of 2.90 and rank first. This indicates that parents were not that knowledgeable that it would be easier to prepare meals with available vegetables around them. The use of Project GP Guide Pinggan as intervention materials could bring out a positive impact on enhancing the parents' awareness of meal preparation. The parents were able to increase their understanding of the roles as parents in providing guidance to their children in terms of healthy eating habits. In order to disseminate the result of this study, the action plan below was drafted.